Hey guys, I have a cautionary tale today to tell you about, and it's related to improving your home. And it's not about bad contractors, it's not about bad materials or anything like that. It's actually related to the value of your home itself. And I want to tell you about this story. I had some buyers a couple weeks ago that closed on a home, and it was a first time home buyer situation, and it was in a neighborhood that, 3 bedroom, 2 bath, basically, a nice, cute little neighborhood in a suburb of Dallas. But the problem with the home, or the challenge, maybe I should say instead of problem, was the sellers did a lot of improvements, which is a blessing and a curse, right? It's a blessing because that is really what made my buyers fall in love with the home. They loved the kitchen, the thick granite, the white cabinets. They loved the master bath. It was amazing. The shower was all redone. It was a big walk-in shower. The flooring throughout the home was like a herringbone wood tile flooring. The fireplace had been upgraded with stacked stone. I mean, it was just a beautifully updated home. And it was in a first-time home buyer sort of price range, right? Which was perfect. They loved it. We made an offer. We were able to negotiate down a little bit off the price, which is always nice. And so my buyers were super excited and happy about it. So when a buyer wants to make an offer, the first thing I do is I go home after the showing and I run a comparative market analysis. And I use what are called comps or comparable properties to figure out what I think is the right price for the home, which is why we were able to talk the seller down a little bit, because they were pretty high for the market area that they were in. Now, it was super improved. And the comps that I was pulling, there really wasn't anything comparable in terms of the amount of improvement to this home. So basically what I told my buyers is, I said, look, here are the comps, and if you add $25,000 to $30,000, maybe even $40,000 to this house, that equal basically what the seller has put into this house. It's a lot of money and time and effort that they've done, and that's why it's beautiful. That's why you love it. But if you work with these comps and you add this amount of money, it's worth it. It's worth this price that we're going to offer. And they said, yep, let's go. Let's offer it. So we offered that price. We got it under contract. We flew through inspections. The home was beautifully taken care of, so inspections were not a problem. And then all that's left is the appraisal, right? So we're waiting for the appraisal. It hasn't come in, and we're getting closer and closer to closing, and we're all kind of like, where's the appraisal? And it's due on a certain due date. And instead of getting the appraisal on that due date, we got a notice from the appraiser, from the appraisal company, saying, hey, we've got a valuation problem here. That is not what you want to hear when everyone's just like ready to close, right? That you've got an appraisal problem. And I do feel like this is happening a little bit more than it used to, because lenders are getting worried about the market and about values and about how high they rose and how fast. And lenders don't want to be stuck, underwater with a bunch of loans that on houses that aren't worth what buyers paid for them. So they are being more conservative, I think, in this day and age about appraisals, since we've had sort of a top of the market thing in the last couple of years. So the listing agent and I worked really well together. She was a great listing agent. It's always nice when you have a good agent on the other side that you work well with. We worked together. I sent my comps immediately because I had the comps that I ran for my buyer before we made the offer. So I sent the lender that immediately, and I said, please, give this to the appraiser, and please emphasize the amount of updates that are in this home. Like, these sellers have done so much with this home. And the listing agent, I'm assuming she did the same thing. I'm assuming she sent them. I never saw them myself, but I'm assuming she did. So we're waiting the next couple of days. We don't get anything back. Our closing date is done. Like, we have to push it back. We don't have a choice. Well, we find out the day before we were supposed to close that the appraisal's in. And it came in $30,000 low. And when you're especially when you're in a first-time home buyer situation, you're not talking about a $600,000 home that came in at $570,000. You're talking about a $350,000 home that came in at $320,000. Those kind of numbers. The lower the number, with a big gap like that, the harder it is to deal with, right? So I'm like, what the heck? So the lender sends the buyers and myself the appraisal. Now, people don't know this. Sellers don't get a copy of a buyer's appraisal when a buyer is under contract to buy their home. Why? Because that buyer has paid for that appraisal. It's the buyer's appraisal. It's not the seller's appraisal, even though that seems weird because it's the seller's house. They still own it. But it's the buyer's appraisal because they paid for it, and it's basically what their mortgage is going to be based on, so it's theirs. So anyway, the buyers and I get a copy of the appraisal, and I look at the comps. And the appraiser has used some of the same comps that I used originally. But, this is a big but, she adjusted, so she added money, is what we call it with an adjustment. She adjusted one of the comps. And how much did she adjust it for? $10,000. She didn't adjust anything else, right? So that's where the difference is. She basically did not give these sellers much at all for all these updates that they've done. And we were all like, what the heck? How is this possible? So what happens when you have that situation with an appraisal being so different? All you can really do is try to negotiate through it, because an appraisal is like, it's a subjective situation, right? I mean, the appraiser is going in and they're saying, this is what I think the value of the home is. And when I do a comparative market analysis, I'm basically giving my professional opinion. It's based on our years of experience. Same with the appraiser. We're giving our professional opinion on what we think this house is worth. And the appraiser made that decision. This is what she thought the house is worth. And we are stuck with it. Like, there's not any, you're not going to go out and get another appraisal. This is not going to happen unless you completely switch lenders and start the whole process over again. You're not getting another appraisal. So we try to negotiate the price. We're not really able to negotiate the price. The seller's thinking, hey, I'm just going to rent this house out. I'm not going to sell it for this amount of money. My buyers are sad. Everybody sleeps on it. Everybody takes a deep breath. And in the end, we did end up working out a price. Buyer came up some, seller came down some, and we actually just closed this yesterday. Yay for everybody, right? But one of the reasons why I wanted to do this video is not specifically about, the appraisal itself, but just as a cautionary tale, like I said at the beginning of the video, to really watch what you're doing with the house that you own. I am all for people making updates to their homes. Don't get me wrong. I mean, updates, done steadily over time is how you keep the value of your home up there. The problem with this situation was the sellers upgraded that house to the nines. Like, they used the best materials. They used, all throughout the home. They did all kinds of things that were so great, but they over improved that home for the neighborhood. They over improved that home, and they were never going to get the value out of the home as to what they put in. And it's really just sad, Now, did they enjoy those improvements over time? Absolutely. And I'm assuming they're high quality people that are like, hey, if we're going to do something, we're going to do it the best way possible. And I love that. I think that's a great quality in people. It's just something that you really have to watch for when you're making improvements to your home. And hopefully you have a real estate agent or broker that you can reach out to and say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. Do you think I'm going to get this value out of the home? Because really, when you improve your home, you want to get a return on investment. Yeah, right? Some of the things that I see sellers do, or homeowners, I shouldn't say sellers because they're not all sellers, they're owning their home. Some of the things I see people do that aren't really necessary is, one thing is the roof. People put, 50-year roofs on their homes, 30-year roofs on their homes. You're not going to get that out of it. it's going to deteriorate anyway, and you're going to have to replace it based on insurance and that kind of thing. So a roof is not really where you want to be like, hey, I'm never going to have to replace this roof. You're going to have to replace it. So just go with the standard roof, a good roof. Don't go with a crap roof. Don't do that. But that's one thing that I see people do a lot. Also with the granites and the marbles, current countertops and stuff like that. When I was looking to redo my countertops, and I've done a video about that before, how I feel like I actually made the wrong decision. But when I was looking at different kind of marbles and stuff, which don't do marble. But anyway, when I was looking at doing marble, there was one that I absolutely loved that was like $13,000 at the time. And this was like, I don't know, 5-6 years ago at least. $13,000. We ended up spending like 5 or 6, right? So I ended up getting a countertop that I liked, that I'm happy with, except the fact that it's marble. And anyway, that's another story. But I like the way it looks. I like the way it looks. Am I in love with it? No, maybe not. But I'm also not in love with that. I wasn't also in love with that $13,000 price either. So those are just examples of like, do it right, do it well, but maybe just watch a little bit what you're doing. Because there is that possibility of over improving your home. And, I hear all the time too, people doing things because this is my forever home and I thought I was going to be here forever. And then lifestyles change, needs change and that kind of thing. You end up selling it and you can't get that money out of it. So, cautionary tale, make sure you're doing good things with your home, but not over improving it to where you're not going to get your money back. And if you have any questions about that, I hope you reach out to your favorite real estate broker. Maybe that's me or whoever it is. Reach out to them and just ask questions about the improvements that you're making and make sure you're not doing too much. Okay? So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was informative. If you have any questions, give me a ring. And I would love the opportunity to win your business if you're in the Dallas area and wanting to do anything buying or selling. So, and I hope to see you next week on another edition of All Things Real Estate. If you liked the video, please subscribe. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
All things real estate.